Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Mustang Owners Podcast. I'm your host, John Clore. I'm the Enthusiast Communications Manager for Ford Performance, and I'm along with my co-host, Mike Ray, who is the president of the Mustang Owners Club of Southeastern Michigan and the International Council of Mustang Clubs. And Mike, tonight we've got very special guests who are going to bring us into the realm of reality of 2025, and hopefully everyone will grab a cup of coffee and listen in tonight.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be wanting to listen tonight because this is the number one question asked by car clubs around the country. So here's the two guys to hopefully give you guys some answers.
So, folks, we want to introduce Daniel Pruzinsky and Tyler McKenzie. We've met both Daniel and Tyler, oddly enough, at a Thunderbird Club function, and then found out about somehow how their lives had went from T-Birds to Mustangs, and then just recently had them at the Mustang Midwest Club Summit. Tyler and Daniel, welcome to the Mustang Owners Podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
No, it's the thanks is going to be all on you, because what we want to bring to you, everyone out there in podcast land, is the information that you gave to many of the club principals at the Mustang Summit was just incredible. And so, folks, you're probably wondering yourself, maybe I'm in a Mustang club and I got a lot of my friends, maybe they're, mid 30s to mid 40s. Mostly are by 50s or 60s, and you're saying, how come my club can't get young people involved? Well, that was the number one question, Mike, I think, at the summit. Would you kind of say for not just this year, but for how many years have you been doing the summit, Mike?
Yeah, not even at the summit. Anywhere you go, anytime you talk to any club president anywhere, their number one concern is how do we get the young people involved? That's the number one question in club life everywhere.
So you can imagine, Mike, my surprise when why I kind of like going to the T-Bird. The T-Bird folks are a next generation up. It was the Thunderbird clubs that really got into the club idea of making it a social thing. So they went to the country club. They had golf outings. They had picnics. And when the Mustang came along in 1964 and Ford began the council of the Mustang clubs. Remember the Mustang Club Council,
Yep.
Mike?
Yeah.
And they got everybody involved in doing like picnics and gatherings with young people. The T-Bird people, we kind of followed that. And imagine my surprise when we went to the a Thunderbird function and saw Daniel and Tyler there. And I thought, well, these guys must have saw a bunch of, hey, look at these old cars, and just pulled in. When I found out they were part of the T-Bird group, Daniel and Tyler, you have to recount how you got involved in your Thunderbird life and the Thunderbird clubs.
John, let me make one quick point real quick there, because I remember that too. I can't believe that these were the same guys that we doing that, because I remember them taking the ride in the transit van around. But, Mustang and Corvette are compared a lot these days, from the Ford and the Chevy guys. But Thunderbird was created to compete with the Corvette. Yep. So it's kind of all one big family there, right? Both going after Corvettes at one point or another.
But they're so much earlier than what Daniel and Tyler were. They came along later in that whole world. And so, guys, you have to start off by telling us, how did your car love happen, and how did that steer you to T-Bird?
Well, I'll go first.
Okay.
My first car was a 1994 Thunderbird. Now, I found this car at our local McKenzie car show, Doc Ozzfest, and I was just turned the ripe age of 16. I'm trying to get my license, so I'm looking for a car. I don't want to drive mom's soccer mom van, it's beater. So I was looking for a car, and I didn't want to get your, everyone gets your Honda Civics, Toyota Camrys. I wanted something that's unique here. So I will preface this with this. I wasn't looking for a Thunderbird. I kind of just fell in love with it. But I was at the car corral, and there was a 1988 Corvette, and there was the 1990 Thunderbird. And the Corvette looks good at its time, but this Thunderbird was clean. It had low mileage. It had I'm telling you, it had all the bells and whistles that today's car would have, with the digital dash, leather seats, power windows, power seats, everything. It even had a cassette tape player, which I thought was out of this world. My favorite were the
good old days.
Yeah, exactly. Pop in some AC/DC, But this car had everything for being, at the time, 30 years old.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had the money that I saved up all my life, and I bought it. My mom was a little annoyed because she was going to give me her van, but best decision, fell in love with the car, and I still have it, and I keep it in well condition.
Well, Daniel, that's a great story. And thank God for that, because if your mom would have given you a van, you still wouldn't have a girlfriend.
Yeah, probably not.
No, that's so wrong. That's just wrong. But Tyler, I know your story's a little different, but you had a similar journey because you didn't want what everybody else had.
Yeah, I didn't want. I mean, I'm a pretty unique kind of guy out there. I'm an actor, struggling actor, growing up though, I always had a connection to the 50s and 60s kind of aesthetic. My grandfather was from that era, and I lived with him, so I listened to that kind of music, and he was a car guy, and so I fell in love with cars that actually look cool.
Cool, yeah.
As opposed to like the 2002 Volkswagen Bug, that's just a bubble.
Yeah.
You know? So I had an appreciation for it all the way back then.
You like styling.
Styling is the way to word for it.
Yeah. And I the first car I actually got was a 2002 Hyundai Sonata.
Not a bad car.
No, actually, I did complain about it. I complained about it all. That was a good joke. Sonata, that was pretty good. I did complain about it all the time, and he can attest to that. Every single thing bothered me about it. But the real problem was that to me, it just wasn't like a car fit for a person like me.
Well, plus it was a Hyundai, so you wouldn't get a girlfriend either.
No, exactly. I already had one, thankfully, at the time. So I kind of, the car, she didn't leave when the car showed up. But the thing is that then I drive around in his Thunderbird. And obviously I did a production of Grease, so T-Birds,
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever heard like that phrase.
Yeah. And did you get this when people saw you? Ooh.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Wow, that's cool. That's different.
And so with him, I drive around his car, and like I said, he gets the thumbs up. You know what I mean? I want the attention.
I know what good cars are.
So
okay, good taste.
So I wouldn't be a good friend if I didn't try to get a car to one up him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how friends are.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I found out that in 2002 to 2005 they made a Thunderbird that actually looked like that retro car from the 50s and more from the 50s.
Yeah.
And I got rid of the Hyundai Sonata. I bought that car, and I think I made somebody who's sitting next to me pretty jealous when I was driving around in my red 2004 retro T-Bird, which looked so much nicer than the 1990 Thunderbird. But
I'll give him the styling, but
yours worked a lot better. Yours worked a lot better than mine did.
Well, Mike, is that why your 06 Mustang GT? When I say, hey, Mike, listen, I fired up my 06 and went, that's great. You fired up and I couldn't hear anything for 3 weeks.
133 decibels is pretty loud.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's how friends are, guys. So you both get this T-Bird, but there's so many kids that get a great old car, but they don't get anywhere near a club or a community of owners. But you guys actually sought that out.
Yeah. So I sought that out because I was interested in a lot of the history and just kind of the story behind the car. I'm a huge history buff. I love American history, all that stuff. And, Ford is a huge American, innovation. I mean, it built this country, especially Detroit. I mean, it is the founding pretty much father of that city. So I wanted to learn more. And, since this was kind of like a stylish niche car, I wanted to see who else had this car and kind of what they're doing with it and what kind of knowledge I can gain, and stories and just tips and tricks for either enhancing it or fixing things. Cause
getting parts.
Many people, parts, all that stuff. So I did some research and I found the Lehigh Valley Thunderbird Club that was local to the area. And I didn't want to go alone, so since my friend just bought his car, I get a gift. I get a gift. Hey, you're signed up. Lehigh Valley Thunderbird Club. Oh, I didn't know there was one.
Yeah,
that's how I became president.
Right. Guess where you're going tonight? There's a club meeting.
Yeah,
at the Parkland Diner.
Exactly. Really? That's cool.
Awesome.
So when you walked into, the people go, "I'm sorry, this is the Thunderbird Club meeting. You must want the door over there."
they were a little confused, but when we told them, when the president stood up, Vince, and said, "No, these guys are new members," we became movie stars.
Yeah,
I bet. Yeah,
they started to bow at us. It was crazy. Yeah,
Mike, if they walked into
wanted
Moxham's meeting,
pictures?
yeah, you guys would. If you walked into our club's meeting, you'd be rock stars as well. But Daniel, I found out that wasn't good enough. You and Tyler going there and getting involved, talking to people. You're cool. You guys are very engaging. But then somebody talked you into a board position.
Yeah. So
this sounded all very familiar, John.
What is going on here? What is
so? Yeah, a couple months, a year or so later, they asked me to be part of the board again to talk about how do we get younger people involved and keep the club, going, considering that this car has been built for 20 years.
Yeah.
So I am part of the board, and I did have to take a little bit of a step back. Just want to preference that because I'm in school again, and and I was purchasing a home, they asked me to be part of the board, and when opportunity comes calling, you pick up the phone and answer it. So
well, it's amazing that first of all that you guys even know what doo-wop music is.
Absolutely,
poodle skirts. So we saw you guys at the T-Bird show when they had a big reunion in Detroit at World Headquarters, and then how you talked me into giving you the Ford Performance Club Connect Transit.
I got pictures of that still.
They drove off in that and stood up on the van taking pictures. I thought, well, it's good publicity. I had no idea you guys were just so into it. And the fact is, when I met you again we went to the McKenzie show and found out that both of you guys somehow got into the Mustang world. And for one of you, it wasn't a great way to get into it, but you did. And the other one, again, followed. Yep. Tell us a little bit about how you became into the Mustang world.
You want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. So I was graduating college and I got my first job. And, I always told myself, I said, my first car I'm going to get is a Mustang. It had to happen. So I was fortunate enough through my job, they gave me a car allowance every month.
Yeah.
And it went completely to this Mustang. I was very fortunate because I know that they're expensive cars to
they are.
Adults coming out of college. It's hard to get, but I was very fortunate that I had that opportunity. And it's funny. I originally got my first rate of the stipend, and then so I called the dealer and I said, I'm going to get the EcoBoost Premium, the Fastback, and then they called me again and said, well, because I was negotiating a contract, we're going to give you a little more. And I called the dealership. I said, make it a convertible.
Wow.
I ordered this car because this was going to be the car that I loved. I wanted something new and fresh. And I was going to, I keep all my cars, it's the history. And so I ordered it. I have the sticker and everything. And I love this car. There's just
that means Tyler would just say, okay, well, he's off in the Mustang world. I'm not going to do anything about that, right, Tyler?
No, well, you see, that's the funny part.
So tell him what happened.
My nice 2004 retro T-Bird with the white pinstripe I added.
Yeah.
I drove it down to Florida because I work at Disney and now I work for Universal as well. And I drove it down there and I lived there with it for about three years.
Mm-hmm.
3 years. And in October of 2023, I was driving home from work one day, and all of a sudden, and this is where it gets really sad, start the somber music. All of a sudden, I'm driving, and through like 4 lanes of traffic, out comes another car and just completely T-bones me. No. I go into the grass and everything, shreds the entire side of my car. I was hurt. I was in pain. I was in so much pain.
Especially Mike, it was a Hyundai Sonata.
No, I wish. No, Dodge. It was a Scat Cat.
Scat.
Oh,
whatever. No. Yeah. But my car was better off than hers was. But oh my gosh, the amount of I didn't even have time to process that my entire left side was in pain because I was filled with so much rage that somebody just destroyed my child.
Yeah.
So I open up that door, try to crawl out. I didn't scream though. I almost did, but I was like, you know what? Paramedics are here. That's probably not the best idea.
Yeah.
I have to sing later in the week. So So then, car's totaled, and I'm stuck with the Toyota Corolla as my rental van for my. I know.
There goes your acting career.
I know.
You have to wear a Nixon mask driving around that in town.
Exactly.
He couldn't be seen in it.
I couldn't.
No.
Well, so I now we're going through a month here, and I'm like waiting to find out what is my car valued at. And it's funny that at the beginning of this, we had talked about the Thunderbird being compared to the Corvette.
Yeah.
Because I had an insurance premium, where if you have it's the value of the car plus a car 2 years newer, so a 2006 Thunderbird with 30,000 miles less is averaged out and added on. However, fun fact, there's no 2006 Ford Thunderbird.
I was just going to say, yeah.
So what did they do? Well, the insurance was like, well, we had to call up a few dealerships, and the closest car that matches the Ford Thunderbird, this blew my mind but made me so happy, is a 2006 Corvette, which is significantly worth a lot more than the Thunderbird is worth. So because of that, my insurance payout was so high that I was able to find a Ford Mustang. Now, he had a 2022, so what did I have to get? 23.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So I got 20.
I can't win.
No, that's okay though.
Daniel, he's targeting you. I mean, that was a conscious effort on Tyler's part.
Get a really expensive car, and I'll find a way to get one even more expensive.
I'm going to build a car. That way there's only one of them.
Okay.
So you guys, so that's incredible. First of all, the story is incredible. But then I find out you're both into the Mustang world, and I thought, how you got into the community of T-Birds is one thing. But now sharing that story, when I knew Mike and I've been chasing down who can we talk to? Two young guys who are into the car hobby, and now you both have Mustangs. And I wanted to bring you into that world by saying, hey, in the Mustang world, clubs are having a hard time getting guys your age, or even like from, say, mid-20s up to 50, because a lot of them are late 40s to late 60s. So when we found out you guys are so active, you love your cars, and how do you perceive what would a cool event look like? What would a cool club do in your eyes? What should they be doing? That's why, Mike, it was a natural. We invited them to the club summit up in Birch Run, Michigan, and have Tyler and Daniel get up in front of all these club presidents. We had like another 20 clubs on Zoom. We probably had 50 clubs involved. And then you guys told your story, but what you told them, guys, and I want you to share with the podcast listeners tonight, is the way to attract younger people isn't the way that clubs are working today. And I remember one guy told you guys, well, we are on social media. We just, we have a Facebook page.
Oh,
how come that's not working?
Because that's for grandmas. Respectfully.
Yeah, we love our grandmothers.
Well, yeah, we love them. We love them.
We don't want to know about their knitting. So what was your number one thing you had to tell them? First of all, I appreciate you guys taking the time on and telling them what some cool events would look like, doing things together, going to a movie, a drive-in movie, the things you brought to life to them, going out, maybe bowling, just take some pictures, just activities together. But
I like the demographic breakdown of social media that they do.
Yeah, but you guys told them, that's not the social media platforms that a lot of these clubs use. And so tell us what your big secret was.
You want to go first?
No, you can.
I'll go. All right.
Go ahead.
So
you're the social media.
I am the social media guy. We said Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, that kind of stuff. We're looking at, yes, Facebook is great for people of the older demographic. I mean, I have a Facebook account, but that's really only to update my mom's friends as to what's happening in my life. And so Instagram is kind of where it's at. I'd say Instagram is kind of the 20 to 30. That's mainly our age demographic. And then TikTok and YouTube Shorts, even Snapchat, was a Snapchat Reels or something like that.
Yeah,
Snapchat Reels is also a really big thing that we didn't touch on at the summit. But marketing on those platforms where you can just be mindlessly scrolling, because we have shorter attention spans nowadays, and just see something pop up, like it hits the algorithm, it pops up in our hand, then we say, oh, what's that? So the other thing is, on that note, with these social media accounts, that I think is a very big deal, is making sure that there is one specific account. You know, you don't want to look up, you know, let's just say, I don't know, the Lehigh Valley Thunderbird Club and see the Lehigh Valley Thunderbird Club and then the LV Thunderbird Club and then the LVT Bird Club, and they're all from like different years. You just want one. Get rid of the other ones. I don't care if you lost the email.
One guy posts, yeah. And guys, and I think, Daniel, what really lit the light bulb up for a lot of people was, you know what, we maybe a club did have an Instagram account, but that's the way a lot of these young social media based clubs, not paid for membership clubs, get together. They throw a post out there and they get onto Instagram and say, hey, let's all meet down at the Arby's, and you know, so and so's got a new car. Let's go. It's very spontaneous. And I think, Tyler, you used the word, it was organic, or you know, it's a real. It's less formal, but it doesn't mean that it can't work for a more formal club that has regular meetings and has planned activities. And I think, Mike, that opened up a lot of eyes. Tell us a little bit, Mike, about what you saw from, was it Fabrizio that showed the difference between traditional Mustang clubs on Instagram and say the older, like what Fabrizio was doing out at Mustang Mania IT in Italy?
Yeah, he was exactly on the same page as these guys, and I think he appreciated to hear it from some others rather than him just trying to, you know, yell at the top of the flagpole, right? So he felt like he had some backup and was most appreciative of all their input.
Well, yeah, and he said something like, you know, the biggest Mustang club in the United States has like 7,000 Instagram followers, but he had 70,000.
Wow.
He's just one guy. So, Tyler and Daniel, when you said that, and then Fabrizio, who was from Italy, and he was on the summit for joining us live. He has one of the, I mean, he's putting together the Mustang Association of Europe, with, you know, 18 or 19 member clubs covering almost 1 million members. And when you said that, guys, when you mentioned that, did you see his eyes light up? He like, yes, that's how I connect with my younger enthusiasts.
They'll never forget Fabrizio.
No,
Great guy.
No, I think I think that was the happiest I saw him.
Yes.
Was at that point.
Well, for those of you who don't know who he is, you can check out mustangmania.it, and he's going to be launching this Associating Europe. And back in 2016, Mike, he came to the U.S. and found me through Club Connect, and he wanted to, unlike when you guys came to Detroit on your own, he wanted to connect with the Detroit Auto Show. He wanted to meet Mark Fields. He wanted to meet Bill Ford. And so somehow I got him a pass, and he got in, and he did have pictures with Mark Fields and Bill Ford and Raj Nair.
And I got him to meet Jack Roush and Jack Roush Jr.
That's cool.
He's so passionate about Mustang and didn't like other brands that he gave me stickers to hand out. And when I got home, guys, here's what the sticker said. It said, Mustang Mania IT, F your Prius.
Yes.
Which
I still have the stickers because I can't use them if you guys want them. But yeah, you're a revelation of, you know, how you guys, you know, like to get together in that club community, and how you gave so many great ideas for regular Mustang clubs to say, hey, maybe it's time to, you know, don't throw away Facebook. That's all fine and good because a lot of your members are on there. Yeah. The fastest growing segment is 55 on up. But maybe if you want to attract guys like you two, maybe you start an Instagram account and do events that aren't starting at 8 in the
Exactly.
And don't sit all day in a parking lot till 3 PM and then get a plastic trophy and go home.
Absolutely. And John, when it comes to change, because, you know, we want to change the way we do things at the club to appeal. The biggest roadblock is Tawaldi, it's called. That's the way we have done it, and things shut down. And you know, we just want people to. We're not saying throw away the tradition. No. We're not throwing away tradition. We're just saying, let's reevaluate what we're doing and let's see if it's still generating the same positive results that we're looking for today with the new demographic, and whatever's not generating what we're looking for,
right,
let's just adapt it. But we're not saying throw everything out. It's just, we got to just break that mindset, and change is hard. I mean, whether it's a club setting, work setting, anywhere, it can be hard. But
well, you two guys, now that you know Mike and me and you know that we're looking for that. Not all clubs are looking for that. But I think when you brought that to the attention at the club summit, and Mike, let's face it, even in our own club, we're not saying all the things that the club did for the last 50 years are not any good, but we are saying, wouldn't it be cool even if Moxham, our own club, adopts something like they were saying, like maybe just do an impromptu, let's go meet at Savvy Sliders and that kind of stuff. Maybe we could go to a bonfire at somebody's house and just do some cooler things on a whim, and just make it more fun for guys like Tyler and Daniel to say, hey, they contacted me on Instagram. Yeah, I'll go. And Tyler and Daniel, did you get any feedback, like maybe if you did such an event that the older club members wouldn't want to go? I didn't sense that.
No, I mean, we presented we came up with a drive-in concept where you would show a film. I think we chose Viva Las Vegas. Yeah, Viva Las Vegas and Ford v Ferrari. So they're two films about cars, but they're very different generations. But they're both movies that, I mean, I just went to a Viva Las Vegas watch party the other week with my friends. Like, they're both movies that, yeah, of course, that both generations can appreciate. And then also while we were there, or while they're at that event, we recommended you could have some short little photography sessions. And again, not stuff where you're just putting a camera on a tripod, getting some good angles and making it look aesthetically pleasing that you can show off on these social media accounts. And I think everybody really, really liked it. Like they all were down for it, because I think we were finding a way to bridge, as we said, the generational gap between everyone. We were finding things that both generations enjoyed, and I think everybody seemed really happy.
And, John, to that point is, like they were saying, you don't have to absolutely get rid of certain things that they were doing, but how about a tweak or, a modification or whatever it is to today's modern era, and what the younger generation would like to see, and to spice it up, if you will, at that event, something you can still do the same event, but do it completely different.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's why we wanted you guys on the podcast tonight. A lot of our listeners and watchers they're looking for those answers. And so if you guys have a club out there and maybe you haven't really thought of maybe starting an Instagram account and showing what you guys can do, and showing to Daniel and Tyler's point, showing your car. Look at the cars in this club, because Daniel and Tyler, I think the two things that you mentioned that really hit home were, number one, you like to see other people's classics. I mean, those, and like Tyler said, those things are pieces of art. Like today, a SUV is just like a little blob with different headlights and taillights. They're hard to tell apart, but you guys are talking about cars of style and design, and Mustangs and Thunderbirds certainly do that. But the other thing you guys said was, I think it was you, Daniel, you said you'd like to talk to these guys, these owners, because they have the knowledge and experience about the parts and the history of the cars, and they can give you a perspective that you can't get in just an Instagram only club or a Cars and Coffee, where you don't get to really talk to anybody about their ownership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me and for a lot of other people out there, it's the knowledge and the story, and the sense of just that pride that we get from hearing people's stories. My garage, I have it all kind of car themed, obviously Mustang and Thunderbird, but I have books in there that are in containers that the Thunderbird Club members have given me, just because either their family don't want it or they're cleaning out. And a lot of this is, I mean, I have Thunderbird material, that the big promotional book that they gave for the 2022 or the 2002 Thunderbird. I have that with the porthole cover. I have different marketing materials. I have the original brochure for the 1990 Thunderbird. And for me, it's like, I'm almost like, I'm Indiana Jones here. I'm like preserving history. I gotta keep it, so that way I can keep this alive. Well, even if it's a memento, I mean, you don't have you get your car out as often as you want, or for you, Tyler, some of the things that they had to manage the weight program for the Retro Bird, and I still have the bookends with the little portholes in them to give you guys that stuff, so you can carry those, and those things are memorabilia that'll always live with that car for the next 100 years. So we were so excited about this, and we
we're hereby naming you the official club youth ambassadors for the United States, not just
Hey,
for
we
the
will
club.
take it.
You guys
Absolutely.
are our number one go-to, and Ford Performance recently featured you on the Fan Spotlight on FordPerformance.com about your accomplishments going from T-Bird to now the Mustang, which is our neck of the woods. So we're going to keep leaning on you guys. We're going to keep telling your story. We're expecting you to get you more involved in the hobby. And I know whatever you're doing for your T-Bird Club is great, but now we're going to try to get you more focused on your two current vehicles. And you don't have to one-up each other. You don't.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a partnership.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. It's the actor
We're in
in
it
me.
together,
It's the
buddy.
actor in me.
So, Mike, it's that same thing in the club when somebody sees they got I'm going to put different wheels on mine because that guy had better wheel. That's the way it is in our world. But you guys had brought so much clarity to how to connect with the younger generations. And if you helped even one club out of all the 50 that were there, you've done the Lord's work for Ford Motor Company. And Mike and I really want to thank you for your participation.
Of course.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, we trudged through snow to be there.
Yes, we
And
do.
we'll do it again.
Literally.
Yeah, what was the deal, Mike? Why would you do that to everybody?
Yeah, we had to throw a snow in every now and then. We usually had good weather during that time.
February in the thumb of Michigan.
See how bad they really wanted it.
They drove all the way from Pennsylvania. I got to tell you, Daniel Pruzinsky and Tyler McKenzie, thank you so much for not only being on the Mustang Owners Podcast, but for all you do for the hobby. And we look forward to hearing way more from you as Tyler gets into the next movie. Maybe we send Tyler and Daniel, Mike, a faster horse, a Hollywood movie that may have featured one or two or both of us in it.
Yeah, you guys need to watch that. I think it's still on Netflix or something, isn't it?
I hope so. It's a faster
look up A Faster Horse, guys. It was a movie that a lot of us were in, and it was basically the story behind the 2015 Mustang.
Well, we have chicken wings. We have chicken
that's
wings.
Good advice for everybody out there. Again, Danny Pruzinsky, Tyler McKenzie, thank you for being our guest tonight on the Mustang Owners Podcast.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. It was.
Hey, Mike, that was so cool. And that's what we want to bring to everybody on the podcast. And a part of this hobby is growth, and we want that to keep happening. So I hope everybody enjoyed this episode tonight. And if you haven't already done so, check out all the new features we have on FordPerformance.com in the article section. We bring it to you every Thursday. And if you haven't already registered your Facebook group, maybe Instagram group, or traditional Mustang Club, you can do so on FordPerformanceClubConnect.com. And we want to hear what you have to say, your reaction to tonight's podcast with Tyler and Daniel, or whatever suggestions you have, and send it to Mike and I at clubhub@ford.com. So until next time, we'll just have to catch you down the road.